Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of American Scouser Podcast. I'll be hosting today. This is Gordon. With me, I got Timuchin. How's it going, Timuchin?
Pretty good, sir.
I've got Jamie with me as well. Jamie, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. How's it going?
Great, thank you. And finally, Kazi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm Sam. You all right?
Perfect. Thank you very much for asking. So today we're just going to go ahead and break down that Norwich game. I know it feels like forever ago now. Kind of talk a little bit about some other news circling the club and finish off with a preview of tomorrow's Cup final game against Chelsea in our favorite city, Istanbul. So we'll get started off with the Norwich game. 2 p.m. Friday, we got the honor of going first. Kind of hated that it was Friday. It didn't feel right. I had to rush home from work and everything to go see it. But I'll take the 24 hours at the top of the table, or just about 24 hours, just under there. But obviously we won 4-0. Start off really quickly with the own goal, followed by Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Divock Origi in that first half. Just complete domination. Second half was a little bit slower. Pukki got his goal, 64th minute, and finished 4-1. Thoughts on the game, guys? We'll start with you, Timuchin. What did you think as a whole of that first game?
I think you're just going for the score, aren't you? You got the 3 points. Didn't look that pretty. They kind of made it easier on us, but let's face it, they had some chances. This was one of those games that I thought we were really clinical, especially in the first half and finishing. So anything we got, a hold of, we were able to finish it off and score. Obviously, the own goal helped. Whereas they just could not finish. It could have been dangerous if they were able to score on one of those chances they got in the first half. I'll be honest, Norwich, I thought, looked a lot better than I thought they would. That was one of the teams that I actually picked to be relegated at the end of the season. I thought they were pretty impressive moving the ball. But, of course, that lack of clinical finishing can hurt them in the long run. But second half, I don't know if it was just an injury to Alisson, or I don't know, but it's like a typical Liverpool where got a bit too comfortable almost with the score and stopped kind of the extra push. And obviously when that concentration level goes down, we get scored on. But at the end of the day, aside from the injury to Becker, I thought it was good. Couldn't be more pleased. Take the points, 3-goal differential, then move on, really.
Yeah, I felt it was sort of surrounded against the injury. Also, we've sort of seen this before too. I believe it was last year against Southampton where we were 3-0 up at halftime. He pulled Shaqiri off, I think, and it just kind of coasted that 3-0 win for the rest of the game. Jamie, how about you? Anything that you pulled from that game?
Yeah, just like Timuchin said, small bit of defensive frailties came to the forefront in the second half there, but we took our foot off the gas a wee bit, I'd say. Henderson after the game kind of mentioned, the lads could have held the ball a wee bit better and really turned the screw on them in the second half, but it didn't happen. And it's not every day we blast teams away in the first 45, but like Timuchin kind of poked at, Norwich are gonna take points off teams this year, so that's good to see them rally and get their goal. That striker Pukki got 30 goals last year.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you, lads, to be honest. I think it's always difficult with a team who are used to winning. People can get, they're used to winning. They are used to, turning sides over. I thought that Pukki played really well. But I always look and think the second half was just a formality. Liverpool could have stepped on the gas if they wanted to. If that's what it felt like to me, they were just playing in second gear and just went, listen, if a goal score 2, we'll just score 2 more really quick. And I felt like they could have just do it at any point. But there's no point kind of exerting themselves, especially with first game of the season and injuries and things like that. So yeah, it was just Norwich report at the back. Don't get me wrong, they did not make it easy for Liverpool. I think, as I say, it was just nice to see people get minutes, and it was just a formality of a game. You know, again, as the lads touched on that, Norwich, decent side. They'll beat Everton this season. No danger. They'll beat Everton this season. And, you know, they'll go down there and, like, I don't know when they played them, like in the middle of January or something, and beat them 2-0, and you're like, what's happened here? And they're a good side. They'll scare a lot of players, teams. A bit like Bournemouth, they might get beat. They might get whacked by the top side, but they'll beat all the sides around them. So, yeah, there might be a little team to look out for.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest takeaways was for a newly promoted team to come to Anfield after we just lifted the European Cup and not park the bus and to come out and actually play. I mean, good on them. It was exciting. It ended up we had 15 shots and they had 12. Obviously, the game seemed a little bit more one-sided than that finished off. But I mean, for a small team to come like that at us, I mean, it was good. It was a good first game to come at, and obviously it put a little bit of stamp on the rest of the league and sort of gave a shot of what's to come from Norwich. So definitely enjoyed watching them play. I think they'll be fine, or at least better off than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah,
obviously, we did touch on it a little bit, but that Allison injury looks like 6 to 8 weeks with a pull or torn calf. How worried are you? I know that we just signed Adrian, and that's I didn't expect to see him so. He didn't flat-footed. Thought he was going near post, and Pookie actually went opened his foot and hit the back post. So, what do you guys feel? Do you think we can handle it for 6 to 8 weeks?
It's hard, isn't it? Because he's the best goalie in the world, which is the first issue. So when you lose the best goalie in the world, it's always going to be difficult. I think Adrian, he hasn't had the pre-season. I think that's the first thing people got to remember. He hasn't had the pre-season. I thought he probably had maybe 2 training sessions with the team. So he probably doesn't even know anything really about it. But the finish was decent. But the finish is a good finish, to be fair. But I think Adrian's a solid backup. I really do. I liked him. I wanted him as the backup anyway. I thought that would be the piece of business that Liverpool done in the summer with Adrian and Mignolet, because they are very much like for life. I'm fine with Adrian. I'm more fine with Andy Lonergan, to be honest. You're 35 years old. You call Liverpool in the summer and go, can I just come and train and get some fitness? Yeah, of course, mate, come along. You're at Rochdale last season, yeah, and now he's on the bench for the Super Cup final. Might get a medal. It's fairy tales.
It's brilliant.
It's honestly. He's probably walking around the dressing room taking selfies with the players. Honestly,
I know I would be.
Hey, standing next to Salah, look at me. But no, Adrian's fine. Listen, he's going to be a big miss. Don't get me wrong, but listen, as long as it's not Mignolet or Karius, I think most Liverpool fans are pretty much cool with anyone else, really. So.
Definitely agree with you. Anybody else feel differently or a little bit more worried than Kazi seems?
Well, did anybody see the clip where he I don't know what game it was, where Adrian scored that goal for West Ham?
Oh, against Everton, the penalty.
Against Everton.
Yeah, the penalty against Everton. Yep.
As long as he isn't up the halfway line, I'm fine with him, mate. Realistically, he could be just as good a shot stopper as Mignolet. He may even be just as terrible as Mignolet. But the good thing is, he doesn't come with all the baggage that we have and have had of Mignolet. So, it's a clean slate, and he's a Spanish goalkeeper, so he's kind of good with his feet, as we seen that clip where he scored against Everton.
No, listen, I'm all for it. I'm sad. You know what, mate? Like you just explained it there. Oh, he might be as good as Mignolet. Like, do you know what the good issue is? He's not Mignolet. That's the serious point. He's
very
not
much so.
Mignolet. And he's
I think that's an excellent point, actually, because we just don't. I mean, you got to figure if Mignolet is in goal. I mean, we're used to anytime the ball is crossed in, we're like freaking out. Any corner kick, we're worried. I mean, if we are, I would assume his teammates have the same feel. So if you're going out, if you're defending a corner and stuff, you're just as insecure as we probably are watching Mignolet to see if he's going to command the box, come and get the ball or whatever. So I think, and then, some of the gaps he's done over the years, the guy does either like miraculous saves and you're like, wow, how did he do that? Or in the same, how did he do that in a negative tone? Like, how the hell did he do that? And like take the ball in. So I think, like you're saying, it's a clean sheet. I felt like when it went down, and I mean, obviously your first reaction was like, oh, shit. But I feel a lot more confident with Adrian in goal compared to Mignolet just because we just don't have that bad history. I'm sure if we go back, I mean, I'm sure, let in some like scary goals too, but hasn't happened to us. We don't have that experience. And I think more importantly, the players who play in front of them don't have that experience with them. And I think that's a huge positive compared to what Miggs would bring.
I think I couldn't agree more with that, really. I think that's spot on. I think the players, I reckon they hate Mignolet. I reckon they hate Karius. There's a rumor coming out about Karius, so I was like, fuck me, don't do that. The thing is, Mignolet played 2 games last season, and he's at fault for goals in both games.
Yeah.
That's the fucking be-all and end-all of the situation. Oh, he's a great shot stopper, so he should be. It's on fucking 70 grand a week.
That's his job.
It's his fucking job. Like, that milkman, he doesn't have to deliver milk well. Well, yeah. 70 grand a week to do the job. He played 2 games last season, Chelsea at home in the League Cup. For me, he's at fault. I think he could do better for not maybe the Hazard goal, but the Emerson. And Ruben Neves goal at Wolves, he's shocking for. It's 40 yards out, it's shocking. I'm sorry, it's cold and all that. You're joking, aren't you? I can't remember who scored the first goal for Wolves. He didn't even get off his line for the goal on a 1-on-1. He barely got off the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Forget it, right? He's good riddance. And as Tim he's hit the nail on the head, Adrian, and shows Jamie he hasn't got the baggage, and he's a solid keeper. I think Van Dijk would love working with him. Going, you know what, mate, you need a chance. You know what I mean? I don't want to work with Karius. He doesn't want to work with Mignolet. Let's get one thing straight, mate. Van Dijk will have more say in who's the defensive partner and who's the goalkeeper. You'd be surprised how much say he probably has, to be honest, because players have a lot of say these days, and the manager would also reach out to his best player.
But who's going to say no to Van Dijk? You know what I mean?
I honestly think that, mate. But like players now, they have more of a say than what we think. You know what I mean? We just think, it's the manager. Klopp just makes the decision. You don't think that Van Dijk's meant to, I fancy keeping Lovren. I'm sure he might touch on that. Just I fancy it. It's going to be a conversation. He's not going to start Salah out of a position he doesn't want to play. He's not going to start Salah down the middle if he doesn't want to play down the middle. It's that kind of thing. So he would have said, I don't reckon he's not going to final decision, but I reckon
But who are you comfortable with? That conversation must have happened.
Yeah, definitely. I reckon he's looked and went, listen, Virgil, I think we're doing this. Mignolet wants to go. We're looking at Adrian. What do you reckon? And he went, yeah, solid. You know what I mean? Decent enough. I reckon, not like he's not in the meetings and things discussing contracts, but it's definitely a conversation that you have with your best players. 100%. You don't play your best players out of position, and you have a conversation you don't want to play with. It's just one of them things, I think, But again, touch on what the lad said. It's perfect. Adrian sound, lads. I don't think we've got nothing to worry about. We've got the best defence in the world. You know what I mean? It's not like we can name saves off our heads what Alisson's made. There's only 5 or 6 standout saves that really stand out to you. Adrian's only in for 6 weeks. 6-8 weeks. If it is 6-8 weeks, listen, if you're getting into the back end of Christmas in January, then we can have a bit more of an in-depth conversation. But as I say, lads, I think we're absolutely fine, to be honest.
Well, that's it. Like the life of the goalkeeper, realistically, is a double-edged sword. Like everybody will remember the horrible mistakes Karius and Mignolet has made, as opposed to his opening, his debut penalty save and things like that. Like everybody always remembers the mistakes as opposed to the great saves when you're a shite keeper. Like so. Yeah. It could be a different conversation we're having in 6 to 8 weeks or whatever. But I think we're sound. I think we're grand.
I think the key is, guys, and this is probably my last thought on it. If he gets a clean sheet tomorrow, mate, he's going to be flying. You just let him get a clean sheet under his belt. He'll hurt in that that he conceded against Norwich, right? But if he gets a clean sheet tomorrow, he'll go out, win 2-3-0 comfy. He'll fucking walk in that dressing room like he's got the biggest balls in the world. Honestly, you'll think fucking hell, because he gets that I deserve to be here, I belong here kind of thing about it. Is if he gets a clean sheet tomorrow, the quicker he gets one, the better, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. 3 saves and a clean sheet, he'll be buzzing for sure, and he'll carry that in.
Or just
and
save
our,
a few pens for us. Get a little pen win, that'd be like, oh, yeah, money sound.
Then the last thing from that Norwich game I wanted to touch on was just how well Origi played in that game. I know that he doesn't. We've talked about it too on this pod. How he doesn't really like that left side. He doesn't like coming in off the wing, and you could sort of tell from time to time that he's not super comfortable out there. But I think that he was absolutely phenomenal. He was really pressed for us in the beginning. Opening 15 minutes, obviously pressed in the goal. He had a really easy header at the end of the half. Just all around sound. How do you guys feel about him? Timuchin, we'll start with you.
I think, honestly, I like the fact that he's very aggressive with the ball. I mean, I'm assuming he has a green light to do so, but the guy is a fast dude. He has a lot of like physical abilities that I almost feel like sometimes he doesn't use much. I mean, for his size, he plays like a little dude, but he has the speed. So, I mean, he's aggressive and like taking players on, and you got to figure the defenders have to respect his speed and size. So he was very effective in that sense. In turn, the only thing I think we lose compared to having Mane in there, and obviously, attacking wise, we'll lose some too. But I think when we're pressing, I feel like sometimes Origi is like either one step behind or one person behind, where the pressing up front does not flow as well. Where you saw a couple of times where Norwich was trying to pass it out, and Origi was not at the person he should be pressuring or was not in their face right away. And I think that's more of like, that's going to come with time. But, I mean, like I say, the guy has physical abilities that if he uses them, and he's pretty aggressive on the ball, which is great to see, and defenders do have to respect that. But getting a goal is great. I mean, obviously creating their own goal, even though that was like a tough ball to defend, to be honest with you. The way you put that thing in there, like he zipped it in there at like knee high, that is not an easy ball to defend, because even if you even if you don't score an own goal, that's bouncing some weird spot because it's getting at like coming fast at a weird height. So as a defender, that's hell. I've been there, done that. I haven't done an own goal, but I've done similar crap. So, but yeah, it was definitely like good to see him out there, like performing, giving hope that, if we have to rest Salah or Mane, because we know Mane can play on Salah's side as well, and that's his natural side actually. So yeah, it's definitely like encouraging because we do need the depth. And one of our biggest concerns was, you're letting Wilson go, you're not signing anybody, Sturridge is gone, who's going to fill the spot? So, I mean, kudos to the guy, man. He just shows day in and day out. Obviously, he had those moments. He's Kazi's favorite, But, he had those moments last season. But he's showing that, he's going to keep working hard. He's going to do whatever he can to contribute. And he is right now.
Yeah, that was a lot of the things that I felt and got from the game. I mean, we talked a lot over the offseason about not picking up a striker and feeling that we needed that depth. But, I mean, Origi had a full offseason with Klopp and the boys. Maybe this is why we didn't sign anybody. Jamie, how do you feel about it? What did you take from Origi? Do you think that he can definitely be the go-to off the bench for us?
Absolutely. I mean, you take a look at his assist for the first own goal of the season, first goal of the season, and like he stands up the defender on the wing and takes him on. Doesn't hesitate. Like he's got the physical ability, like Timuchin was saying, and he's got the balls. He's got the balls to take on a player and get the ball in early. Well, I mean, it could have been a bit earlier, but he took on the player and done a little foot roll with the ball and eventually got the ball in and into the danger zone and into the mixer, and next thing you know, it's 1-0. So, but not only that, like his overall movement as a striker is still there. I get the fact that he'll probably have to play out in the wing a few times, which he might not enjoy quite as much, but like we've seen for that first goal, he'll do a job. But the movement for his header, like obviously when the ball comes back out from Hendo to Trent, Div is looking at Trent and he knows that ball's coming in right where he wants it. and he subtly moves in between the two centre backs and just glances the header in. Like he just made it look easy. But his movement off the ball for the goal, for his goal, was superb.
Yeah, that was by far the best goal of the game. Kazi, how do you feel? I know that you love Origi, so we might be here for another 25 minutes, but I'll let you have your feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna go make a snack. I'll be back.
Lad, if you score like that against Everton, fella, we can talk all day. But I mean, it's you know what, right? I think he gets a bad rap sometimes because you forget the player that he's replacing, Mane. He's probably our most important player in the front three.
Absolutely.
You know, and because he starts to press, he wins the ball. He's so unpredictable with the ball. He can use his left foot, right. Mane's, you know, he's the most unique player probably in the world. And I'm not like, I always had the argument like, you know, I'm not comparing Salah and Messi. I'm not, but they're both left-footed, quick, can beat men. You know what I mean? I'm not like they're not. Messi's on a different planet, of course he is. But I'm saying Mane's so unpredictable. You can't name me a player who like him in the world. And who can do what he does for the team, works so hard. So I think with Origi, he gets a bad rap because he plays on his side also. I think if Divock was playing on the right-hand side, you know, he might get a bit more of a, like, not forgiveness as such, but a bit more leeway. Listen, he's a player who's going to come in and play fourth choice. You know, you get all these weapons on Twitter going, oh, we should have signed Timo Werner. So play where, mate? Where do you want to play him? Does he play centre-half? Because I don't think he does. Like, where do you want to play him, mate? Or we can play back up to Firmino. Who are you convincing to play 15 games a season? Because I can't find anyone. You can't find anyone. That's why Sturridge is left. Because Sturridge would have said, well, I'm happy playing 15 games a season. Sturridge hasn't played 15 games a season for 5 years.
Yeah.
And he still wants to play more. It's like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. You've got a lad there who's quick, he's pacey, he's tall, he's strong. All right, yeah. I'm the first person to admit he's got to be better sometimes with his end product. Sometimes you're like, wow, you picked that one. You picked going front post instead of, you know, far post or pulling the back to the edge of the area. But he'll learn that. He's 23, isn't he? I think he's 23. He's a young boy still. I think he gets a really bad rap. I thought he played well. I thought his goal was, you know, really good. I don't think he can miss. Trent's ball is just, it's out of this world, honestly.
It's on a plate, isn't it?
You can't miss, fella. Honestly, you just hit the ball on target. The keeper has to come out because the keeper knows he's rooted. Otherwise, he has to come out. So you can't miss, you know. And it's great for Div that he scored again because, you know, he probably didn't want to go through like last season. I think his first goal was Everton, December. You know, and then I think he scored against Wolves, a lovely goal against Wolves in the FA Cup. So it's nice for him to score early, mate, and then he feels like he's a part of this team as well. You know what I mean? You don't want him to fucking, you know, Liverpool are playing in 6 competitions this season. You know, Liverpool don't want to be dragging fucking Salah and Mane over to Abu Dhabi and go, by the way, you're playing all these games here. You want him involved. You need players like that around the squad. So, you know, no, I was more than happy with this performance. I'm glad he got his goal as well. So, you know, and I think these lads on Twitter and Facebook need to realise that, you know, there's not many better 4-3 strikers in the world than Divock Origi. And I'm saying that as a fact. All right, you can look at Barcelona and things, but Liverpool aren't Barcelona. We haven't got the money like Barcelona. And you just look what City have just done there. Their 4-3 player, probably Leroy Sané, he's out for 7 months. And
good luck to him.
Exactly, mate. And they're paying him £250,000-300,000 a week to be out for 7 months. So, you know, it's all peeps and toss, mate. But no, Liverpool fans should be more than happy, mate, with Divock Origi. And as I say, we should check hard to get off his back sometimes because the player he's replacing is kind of irreplaceable.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I think you touched on all the points.
I think my only criticism, sorry, Gordo, my only criticism of Big Div is, and he kind of went nuts when he scored against Everton, obviously, 93rd minute. But my one big criticism, I want to see him score an absolute banger and celebrate like there's no tomorrow.
That's my biggest pet hate, you know. Scores the fucking winner in the Champions League final, he celebrates like it's a pre-season final, he'd kick about in the park.
Yeah, not about him.
Like, lad, get in the crowd, start kissing him.
Exactly. But like, you know what, Kazi? The reason why I reckon he doesn't celebrate like that and jump in the crowd is because, do you remember that screenshot where he scored 2 or 3 seasons ago?
And he gets kissed.
Aye.
He gets the kiss against Villa. It was like the 5th goal in a 6-0 win. It was the goal, mate. And this lad's grabbed him and kissed him.
I'd absolutely planted one on him.
To get back to ours, big div. Go back to my place. Oh, mate, you scored that goal in the Champions League final. What every kid Liverpool fan has dreamed of.
The shirt would be off, mate. I'd be running around. I'd still be running around.
Line the birds up. Each one's getting kissed. Each one's getting the tongue down the throat because I've just won it for you. Oh, if you just celebrate, like, yeah, it's what I fucking do. Get on with it. And like in the derby, mate, you scored the biggest goal of your ever career in that derby. You pick the ball up because you want to beat them 2-0. You're like, nah, no, 1-0's not enough to beat Everton. I want to beat them 2-0. If there's 10 seconds left, no, we can get a second. That's really confirm it. Oh, what a lad. What a man.
Yeah, if I had scored in the Champions League final, I think Bleacher Report Live would have been lucky if my shirt was the only thing to come off.
Mate, I wouldn't have returned home. Literally, if Jurgen Klopp done his first interview on in August and he went, "Where's Dave?" He goes, "I don't know."
I'm serious. If I had got the goal, there'd been more than one striker on that Champions League final.
Oh, mate, I swear to God, I'd be like, where's Dave? I don't know. Last time I spoke to him, he was in Bangkok somewhere. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of weeks. He's on a bender still.
Yeah, he won't be able to play in the Community Shield because of his cold medicine was a little too strong.
Oh yeah, he says he only shows up around Christmas anyway. So he said he's going to come back for Christmas. So I'm down with it. What a guy.
All right, well, I think we put the Norwich game to bed, so we'll move on. I got a couple quick points, just some things floating around the news today. I wanted to get your guys' take on it before we move on to the Super Cup preview. So first and biggest one is obviously Lovren to Roma. He didn't train. It didn't look like he went with the team to Istanbul. I know that he's really pushing for a move. Do you think it's smart for us to get rid of a center back who's honestly has been a pretty decent choice for us, especially if we get an injury? I mean, we're not too stacked for options back there. How do you guys feel about Lovren?
Fucking hell. The Degs, man. Big Degsy. Listen, sound player. Really is. Decent. Very good, actually, on his day. He's never played more than 6 games on the bounce for Liverpool.
Really?
Never played more than 6 games on the bounce. Loves the sick note. You can Google that, lad. I swear to God, loves the sick note.
Jesus, that's a stat right there.
Mate, and he's been there for, 4 years now, son?
I can't believe that.
He's never played more than 6 games on the bounce for Liverpool. Always has one off. He always loves a little sick day, you know. Fair play, loves calling out. I mean, listen, Liverpool, you're getting other, this is what I see on Twitter and Facebook again, fans moaning about it. Okay, so you're moaning about leaving Lovren. What if we get an injury? He's the most injury-prone player in the world.
Correct.
True, yeah.
If you said to me you're recouping enough the same money that you pay for him, third off, you're saying we got the greatest centre-half in the world in that Kevin Hoover. Every time we look at him, mate, he looks like the best player I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And the kid said, "Oh, but he's only 17."
17, right? Lad.
But so is Wayne Rooney, and so is Michael Owen. You can say they're strikers, fair enough, and that's a good argument. But if Whoever's going to learn, or however you pronounce his name, if whoever's going to learn, I'd rather let him learn next to Virgil van Dijk over Degsy Lovren. Like, you know, I'd rather him go. Well, I'd rather the kid go in with him. So, or is that what Fabinho's for? Who can fill in as a number 4? Sorry, as a 4-3 centre half, and then you can play Eugenie there or someone like that. And you can, you know, I think it's a sound bit of business by the Reds. I really do. I don't see the big uproar about it. If it was me, I would have kept him. Yes. If it's me, it's very 50-50, depending on how many games you can get out of this, out of whoever. So I'm all right with it. As I say, he's the most injury-prone player in the world. The only good side is Salah's losing his best mate. I hope that doesn't affect him. You know what I mean? I would have kept him forever if Salah was happy. I'd went, yeah, lad, you're 44. As long as Salah's still playing, you can play. So don't worry about it. But I mean, you know, no, I'm okay with the business, to be honest, and it's good money for them as well. Solid.
Good. Yeah, Tamuchin, how about you? Do you have any other points on that?
I don't know. Like I say, let's hope, they feel like one of those young kids is ready to step into that role. Because it's not like Matip has been the most durable player. Neither has Gomez. So you're kind of like leaving yourself open for a bad situation. And just after this whole Becker thing happened, I thought they would be a lot more careful about, opening up the door for a potential injury causing us havoc. Because, I mean, yes, Fabinho can play back there, but, I mean, he was serviceable, but, I mean, people make it sound like, oh, he had great games back there. I mean, you're next to Van Dijk, and everything is arranged that way where there's like a, midfielder kind of playing as center back, so it's not the same thing. And I think some of his tackles, he still does a midfielder tackle, not a center back tackle, and those are like two different things because you're not the last guy anymore when you're in midfield. My biggest fear is, I mean, it is good money. I agree with Dave in terms of business-wise. Yes, it's good. The thing I'm worried about is we sit right now, you look at that Norwich game, right? The lineup goes out there. You look at the bench, and you're like, man, look at the squad now. We have a deep squad. Look at all these options on the bench, right? And some guys couldn't even make the roster. Well, it's only been a freaking week. Our goalie got injured, which is like a freak injury, but, most of these things are. And you're kind of like moving this guy, that guy, loaning that guy. I'm sure we'll talk about like Canton a little bit. So you move on before you know it, and 2-3 injuries later, I'm just afraid we're going to sit here in 3 months, look at the lineup, look at the bench, and be like, man, what the hell happened to the deep squad? And that's what I'm worried about. Is it really worth $15 million to take the risk of putting a 17-year-old to start against United in a Premier League game?
I think that's a strong argument, but then again, Trent started at 17 away to United. It was excellent. Yeah. But the other part is as well, though, and I completely get your point. And that's the only argument that any Liverpool fan can kind of have, really, is the point you bring up, is that we need a path for these kids. We say we've got great kids, but where are they? We need a path eventually. Daisy Lovren might not want to be fourth choice at Liverpool. That's the other part. He might go, fucking hell, I fancy Roma, I fancy that. I don't want to be fourth choice. I'm not getting a game. That's the, and then you can say, okay, yeah, well, you're staying. And well, then he can cause murder in your dressing room and cause, he seems like one of those like bubbly kind of characters. Like, I'm not saying he's a fucking, he's not going to come in and cause murder. Like, I'm just saying he could come in and stuff your dressing room. You don't know.
A la Sacco.
There's a perfect example. We all rated Sacco. Right? We all thought Sacco was half decent. And then Klopp farms him out because he's not the right personality. I'm not saying Diggs he's not. I'm just saying is that we have these kids that we keep raving about. Well, we need a path for them. We need a place where they can come in. And Tim, I completely get it. And that's the chance you take, I suppose. That's what the manager's going to live and die on this season. If Liverpool end up the season Sophilus, then we're all going to say we should have signed someone. But if we end up with the Premier League, we're all going to go, he's a fucking genius. But it's what you live and die on, and I suppose is them kind of managerial decisions. This is Jurgen Klopp's biggest ever season he's ever had as a manager. To not sign anyone as the European champions with a team, let's get it straight, guys. I think we can probably all agree now that Man City is probably the greatest squad of players ever assembled. Ever.
Two squads,
then, yeah, have strong arguments. It's the greatest squad of players ever assembled. And he hasn't bought. If he goes and wins the Premier League, it might be one of the greatest of achievements ever in football against them. This team's picked up 198 points in 2 seasons. So he's going to live and die by the decision, but I think I back him. But Tim, I think it's a strong argument that you bring up, and I haven't really... The only answer I've got for it is that he really fancies Waver. He must look and go, this kid's a Rolls Royce and we need him in now, really. He's too good for everyone else.
Yeah, that's one article that came out, I believe it was last week, was talking about the overlooked fact that the kids, when you bring in decent talent and then put them in, week out in training against the likes of Virgil van Dijk for a forward, against the likes of Salah and Mane, I mean, that's probably the reason that Trent and Robertson have become so good, because they're playing the world's best talent on the other side of them, 5 days out of the week. And for these kids, like you had mentioned with Hoover being next to Virgil van Dijk every day, marching through. I mean, we joke about it all the time. I mean, I could play center back. We get 19 clean sheets a season if I was next to Virgil. So I think that it can only boost them. Speaking of kids and giving them a chance, one of the more promising kids that we have taken on summer trips with us the last couple of years is Ryan Kent. And he did go on social media and kind of back off the club a little bit with a Bible verse. Jamie, what do you take from that?
Well, listen, as a proud Irishman, I try not to talk too much about Rangers, but the fact is, the boys at Rangers are probably licking their lips right now because the likelihood is they're going to have a talent on their hands. Obviously, the Bible verse he kind of went for like talking about his teachers and things like that. Like that's basically what it translates into, like poor teachers and whatever. But I honestly feel that if he's going to come out and say something like that, like your wee lad Camacho did as well, then hit the sidelines, mate.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, boys, because I think we've got to look at the bigger picture here as well, where we're going. So Liverpool don't give these young players a chance. I said this on another podcast. Liverpool don't give them a chance. When they want to go and sign a young player, the young player's going to go, right there, you have Brewster, you have Quaver, they never played. So why would I want to go to you now? But you promised me game time, but I might not get me game time because you've got these players and they're not getting game time. So Liverpool have to give these young players a chance so they can actually sit down with the next big thing and go, well, Brewster played 15 games at 18. And Quaver was 17 and he played 9. And then he kicked on to 24. And then he kicked on to whatever. It's that kind of thing as well. Liverpool, I think we're in a great spot. I understand the injury crisis, but that can happen to any team. Apart from City, it can happen to any team in the world and they'll suffer. I just think, I think what Degsy offers, and you can say about the money, and Liverpool not desperate for money, of course, but he's probably on the best part of £100,000 a week as well, which is big money for Liverpool.
That's it. That's
it's
huge.
Big money.
That's more than the transfer fee, I think. So,
you know what I mean?
Let me put it to you this way: so the 15 million we are going to get from Roma for Lovren, if the transfer window was still open, name me one centre back you could get for 15 million that you could kind of say, oh well, he'll do Lovren's fourth choice,
I don't know. It's difficult that, but I kind of agree with you. But they're going to want, if your fourth choice players, you're going to want £100,000 a week because they're not doing anything. They're going to sit there and go, that's what's happening in City right now. They're playing players who are going to play 10 games this season, £300,000 a week, because they're like, so that's why they're happy staying there. Otherwise, that's how you can afford to assemble a squad like that. Liverpool are in that rich position, unfortunately. What I don't get is that for us as fans, don't forget where we come from under Jurgen Klopp. We've got to trust every decision he's made. He hasn't got a transfer wrong. You can name a couple with Karius maybe and Grujic. Grujic looks like he still could come off as a good signing. He hasn't really got a transfer wrong, and he hasn't really got a sale wrong where he shouldn't have sold him. So I just think he's just got to back them, and I think after last season, he deserves every kind of backing that Liverpool can offer him.
I think Kent's the lowest in the pecking order of our current crop of youths.
Here's my thing with Kent, right? Why didn't no one want him? So why didn't Burnley want him?
Yeah.
Why didn't Norwich want him? Sheffield United signed one player or two players. Why didn't Sheffield United want him? These are lower end Premier League players. Why didn't he want him? That's another question, lads. Right? Is he? He's great in Scotland, right? The best team in Scotland just got knocked out today at the Champions League against CFR. If you name the country, I'd be amazed. Because I thought it was a slang name for a woman's private parts, which I'm not going to say on here. So,
I think Kent knows that he's the lowest on the pecking list, and that's probably where the frustration comes from. I mean, he's not a 17-year-old kid. What is he, 22, somewhere on there, right? So I think he is realizing that his time is passing. He's probably more frustrated that, like David is saying, nobody really wanted him or went after him like they went after Wilson. So I'm assuming that's where some of his frustration is coming from, and the fact that he knows he is way back in the pecking order. And League Cup at best is when he's going to get his chances, if he gets those chances.
No chance. He won't get the League Cup. He wouldn't get the League Cup. That's what Chamberlain's probably looking at now. Chamberlain's looking at the third round going, that's my start. That's my first start of the season, that game. And that's what it's going to be for, unfortunately. Liverpool have moved on. But if I said to you lads at the start of the season, Sorry, at the end of last season, by the way, Moreno, Mignolet, Lovren would never play another game for Liverpool in our defence. You'll all be raving. It's just because you haven't signed any backups. That's the problem. Listen, it's good business. The Kent situation, has he improved in the last 2 years?
Probably not. Probably not.
And I love Steven Gerrard, don't get me wrong, but if Steven Gerrard laced up his boots in that league, he'll get 20 a season. And it's no disrespect to the Scotland. It really isn't, because 25 years ago it was a wonderful league and you had top players in it. But let's be real. It's the Celtic and Rangers, mate, would not stay in the Premier League. They'd get relegated and comfortably relegated in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of level you're looking at. Again, if Norwich and Sheffield United and them kind of play, it seems they don't want to take a punt on Ryan Kent. That says more than him still being at Liverpool.
And I think we all have seen, in terms of, like, if this came from Wilson, I think he would get more support from the fans in terms of, why doesn't he get an opportunity? I don't think Kent is getting as much support, because really, even in the preseason, I don't think I've seen enough to say, why is this kid playing more? I mean, you kind of had that a bit with Wilson, but I think this is an ideal situation where he can kind of prove himself in the Premier League instead of the Championship. But really, I don't think Kent is going to get as much support from fans in terms of, how come this kid never plays?
But Wilson kicked on. That's the thing. Wilson kicked on and got 20 goals. So you're going to get, I'm not saying Kent. Listen, Kent, I think he got 5 or 6 last season. I can't remember. So we had a decent level. But it's a Championship club. The size of the club isn't, but the quality is. So, I understand this frustration. I get it, mate. But probably in 4 or 5 years, he'll be in the MLS. He'll be playing left wing for the Seattle Sounders. I promise you.
But let's take our hearts out of the situation here. I don't think that putting a post up on Instagram or Twitter, especially a religious post, being derogatory. Like, if he is going to Rangers, a lot of Rangers fans don't want to hear that fucking religious shit either. No. So there's a right way and a wrong way to leave your parent club, and I don't necessarily think he's went about it the right way there. Mignolet, all due respect to the lad, he came back, he handled it right. Last season, total professional, blah, blah, blah. He came back to Melwood and said goodbye to all the boys. If Kent came back into Melwood tomorrow, he'd get told to leave.
Yeah. No, it's right. And as I say, mate, you can go to Rangers and it's fine. And the religious things, mate, and, we're not really going to go into it, but it's wrong. It is what it is. As I said to you, mate, we'll see where he's at in 5 years. I might be completely wrong about the lad, but I think the lad's 23 now, or 22, 23. And look at the players who are 18, 19, 20 around this Liverpool squad, mate, and they're miles ahead. And that kind of says all you need to know.
All right, well, moving on to the Super Cup tomorrow. We'll
fucking hell, we got a cup final tomorrow, lads.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Number four, boys.
We're all the way into the weeds now, so we got to drop back and talk about what the whole pod is supposed to be about. 2 p.m. tomorrow on TNT Central Time. We got the Super Cup against Chelsea. A couple of good stats here. Is the first all-English Super Cup final. No English team has won it since we have in 2005 when we beat CSK Moscow 3-1. And it's the first time a non-Spanish team has won it since Bayern beat Chelsea in 2013. Obviously, Frank Lampard has lost his last 2 Super Cup finals. Yeah. He'll be looking to finally win one, but didn't look so hot over the weekend. How do you guys feel about this one?
To be honest, I've never wanted to win a trophy more. It's not because it's Chelsea. It's because I don't want us to lose 2 cup finals, the City and Chelsea now. I wanted to win one. So you've got that monkey off your back. You know what I mean? You've got one in the in the kitty. It's not it's not one of the major trophies, of course. It is Chelsea. But to be honest, European managers that really do count it. I remember Houllier used to count it. He used to count the Super Cup. He used to go, no, I've won the Super Cup. And so did Rafa at one point. He used to go, now, anytime you'll go, you've won the Champions League and FA Cup, you go, I've won the Super Cup. So it is something that means something to them. More.
It's on our wall. It's on the wall.
It's on our wall again. I just think, listen, It's an interesting really because it's one of them games where I want to see changes now, because you don't want your top lads playing 2 games in 5 to 6 days. I think it's quite lucky that we played the Friday and Chelsea played the Sunday, because I think the head scratching's more with Lampard really than Jurgen. But that's where you might see your Mane start. You might see Chamberlain get a game. You would have seen Keita, unfortunately, but he's been pulled out injured today. But you might see these kind of players getting a game. You might see Matip starting. You might see. I don't be surprised if there's 4 or 5 changes and try and win it off the bench kind of thing. I thought Chelsea were actually unlucky on the weekend. I thought they actually played really well. I thought United just got lucky with their chances. I thought Pedro played well. That Mason Mount looked all right on the ball. Tammy Abraham played okay. I expected people to handle him, though.
Hit the bar, didn't he?
Yeah, lads.
Yeah, bumped it.
It was a weird game, winning. It was if you didn't watch the game, you just looked at the result, you go, well, United have hammered them. But it actually wasn't like that at all. I thought Chelsea played really well. And I think if Ole's walking out, he's probably going, we got away with one there. So I think Chelsea can take some hope out of that. I think the biggest thing that happens to Liverpool is that Kante got injured on the weekend, and he won't be starting this weekend because tomorrow, because I think he's probably their best player, and their most important player, and him not playing tomorrow is massive. It's massive for Liverpool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think actually that out of the 2 teams that played on Sunday, I think Chelsea's still going to finish over United. It reminded me a lot of our Bayern Munich loss in the Champions League. They were the better team for 60 minutes. It's just United took advantage of a couple of their defensive lapses and a couple inches to the right on that Abraham shot, and it would have been 1-0 inside of 14 minutes. Chelsea, it could have been a totally different game, I feel. But obviously, I agree with you with the subs being made, especially with really some of their best players being out. I know that they've got N'Golo Kante, Willian is out, and Rudiger's still out with an injury. So we've got a little bit of there's an affording for us to make some changes and be okay, because it's not going to be Chelsea's first squad. Temujin, how do you feel about tomorrow? You got anything you're looking forward to, or anything you pointed out or noted?
I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what lineup we put out there. I mean, yeah, I was looking forward to seeing actually Keita play, but obviously he's sent back. You would think we would see some faces, especially with a game coming up on in 4 days after that, or actually 3 days after that in Southampton. I don't know. I really think we might see like Lallana maybe in midfield tomorrow, because I know he's a club favorite in terms of being able to distribute and everything. I would think we'll see like Matip play. I want to win this game. I want to win these trophies. I mean, we keep talking about, that one wasn't important and this one is only 1 game and stuff like that. But before you know it, we keep saying that year after year, and then you're down to just Premier League and Champions League and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with winning those, but, if we're talking about like having a deep squad and, being like an all-around club and, be the force that we were, go back to the glory days, you got to win these trophies. I mean, that's why your success is measured is by what you win. So, like Dave says, I just don't want to lose this final again and start the season by losing 2 finals in like 2 weeks. Because, I mean, obviously, Klopp personally does not have a huge finals record. Kind of finally broke the leg. The Community Shield, whatever, it's kind of like a semi-preseason. Still would have wanted us to win, but this one I really want us to win. So I almost hope that we do put a good lineup out there. Chelsea's defense was really shaky, so I feel like if we start our front 3, and I think Mane is going to start, I think we can hopefully maybe put the game away and then get some extra minutes that way to others and rest those guys that way. But I really hope we go with a starting lineup that's going out there to really win. That when you see the starting 11, you say, "Oh, we really want to win this one." That's my hope.
Yeah. Jamie, how about you? Anything that you've noted?
I was kind of hoping Temujin would drop a few Turkish lines in there. It is at Istanbul. It's obviously not at the Ataturk. It's at Beşiktaş's Vodafone. Stadium.
Yeah, that's a brand new stadium. Actually, it's pretty neat. I think they opened it last year or maybe 2 years ago. It's pretty darn new.
40,000 capacity. Like, so, you know, there's apparently I heard there's going to be like 3 or 4 times as many Liverpool fans as there will be Chelsea fans. That shouldn't come as a shock to any of us. But
I think there's like 10,000 Liverpool fans that are still living there from 05, to be honest.
Yep.
Never went home.
And you know, I think it's good practice for the squad to get into a Wednesday night game in Europe or, you know, Turkey and
Hey, what are you saying, man?
well, it is Europe.
Whoa.
And you know, it's just good practice because, like, the Champions League draw is only what, 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
So I think obviously with Chelsea missing a few of their starters like Rudiger and Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek, they're not going to be playing, and you know, Willian will probably start on the bench. I think it's I'm not going to say that the engraver may as well start carving in Liverpool now, but realistically, we should be winning this game comfortably. Like, we've played Chelsea out of the English teams most in Europe. We've played them 10 times in Europe. So we know how to beat them. And this current crop of Chelsea, you know, with the transition that Frank Lampard's in, you know, hopefully tomorrow night we'll be singing that Leeds chant, "Stop crying, Frank Lampard." So I think it's ours. Number 4 is ours.
Excellent. Any last thoughts before we close out, guys?
No, listen, I'd just like to get one over Frank Lampard, to be honest, more than anything. Just Liverpool keep kicking on. I think everyone's got to get behind them. I think we're in a fine position. If we sell Lovren, what they do. You know what I mean? Everyone just back the team, back the manager. We're fine. We're in a great position. You know what I mean? I remember getting beat 6-1 by Stoke. Don't worry about it, lads. These are the glory days.
Jesus, that was horrible.
Revel in it, boys. Steven Gerrard's last game, 6-1 to Stoke. You revel in this, boys. Revel in it.
Hell yeah. Timuchin, any last thoughts?
No, just got to keep the Istanbul tradition going, you know, because we won once, we win this trophy, and then this year's Champions League finals in Istanbul again. That one is at Atatürk Stadium, which are both on the European side of Istanbul, by the way, Jamie. But anyway.
I knew you weren't going to let me get away with that.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, yeah, let's get in the habit of winning trophies, most importantly, and get this Istanbul tradition going, and then we'll be back there in May, hopefully, to pick up number 7.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, I got one for you. To add on to Timuchin's earlier point about you got to go ahead and you got to get that monkey off your back and lift the trophy, since we lost to City earlier. But if you count Community Shields, which I don't,
no.
There are some people that say that United and Liverpool are now tied for the most decorated teams of English football at 42. So tomorrow could actually be the tiebreaker. I don't personally count Community Shields. I think 17 Community Shields doesn't just give me, but Liverpool could break the tie and become the most decorated English team in the history of the world right now. So there's something to play for.
I'll take that. I'm all right with that then. Actually, you know what? I want to win it more than Madrid now. I want to win it more than Madrid. Fucking win this tomorrow. No, why did you say that? Now I'm all up for it. Now I'm not going to bed tonight. And we sit there going, let's fucking beat these monks. God. Come on, Liverpool.
That's my fault. All right, guys. Well, with that, we'll close out. I appreciate you all for being on, and thanks for sharing your insight and points. And like always, like, share, subscribe, and give us some feedback. We're on Facebook. We got Twitter. We're on Instagram every once in a while. So reach out to us, and up the Reds. You guys have a good night. Let's go, Liverpool.
You'll never walk alone, boys.
As always.